Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about Aldi. This little grocery store continues to grow in popularity, and we're here to share all the things we love about it too. Join us for product recommendations and tips for making the most of each shopping trip. Let's get started. Listeners, today we're talking about Aldi. This little grocery store chain has underwent major changes in the past 5 years, and it seems like new ones are popping up all over. And if you talk to someone who shops there regularly, you'll find they're quite enthusiastic about why they shop there and what they like to buy. Julie and Mindy, are you Aldi devotees?
I am now. I wasn't always, but I am now.
Okay.
Yeah. That was my same answer, Julie. That was exactly what I was going to say. I am now. I have not been in the past, but here we are, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and Aldi hasn't always had the best reputation as an American grocery store option. For years, they were considered inferior. And I mean, I remember shopping there 20 years ago and not just like loving it, but then I was reading online that in 2017, they really decided to switch things up and really go for taking a greater share of the grocery market. And so I think that it's really been in the last 5 years that I've heard more and more great things about Aldi. Yeah. So I think whatever they're doing is working. But Julie has prepared some Aldi trivia for us, and I can't wait to hear what you have, Julie.
Well, I'm kind of a nerd in this realm. I love to dig into the history of things because then it makes me kind of appreciate it more, or just makes it more fun to shop there if I know kind of the background. So it's a German company, and it was started by these two brothers. They were very frugal, kind of tightwad brothers back in the early 1900s. And they actually ended up splitting the company into two divisions over a disagreement they had on whether or not to sell cigarettes.
Really? Okay.
Which is funny. So the two divisions are Aldi Nord and Aldi Süd, which is north and south, and in German. And in the United States, we operate under Aldi Süd, and then in other parts of the world, it's Aldi Nord. And actually, Trader Joe's falls under Aldi Nord. So they're owned by Aldi. Trader Joe's is. And they're kind of like the Americanized Aldi because, they sack your groceries there. They don't make you pay a quarter for the basket. Like it's more of a little, it has more frills than Aldi does. And definitely has an American feel, I think. Kind of a California feel. But I thought it was funny. In Germany, there's even an area they call the Aldi Equator.
Really?
Like that divides north and south from the two stores. Yeah. And the only way you can kind of tell a difference is their sign color.
Really?
The Aldi Nord has the orange and blue, and the other Aldi's blue and white. So that's how you could tell if you're ever in another part of the world.
Wow.
But like you said, Marie, they didn't come into the United States until the 1970s, I think. And just in the last 5 years, they've really had a push to make it competitive with the big stores like Kroger and Walmart. And they claim to offer a 41% savings by shopping there. And they actually had some researchers study it against Walmart. And they said it's a 41% savings if you're buying name brands. But if you are a generic buyer, then the savings is closer to 20%.
Which is still significant.
Which is really significant, yeah. And similar to Trader Joe's, the prices are low for some of the same reasons. Like they don't stock as many items, about 1,400 items versus Kroger might stock 30,000 items. They only have a few employees in the store at a time. And you might have noticed this, like each store only employs like 8 to 10 people. 3 working a shift. So I've been in there before and thought, this line is long, but it just goes by so quick. Their checkers are so fast. And they said one of the reasons is the products have the pricing barcode on all sides. So the checker doesn't have to search for it.
Right.
Just by passing it over the scanner, it gets the price. Another thing you might notice is their shelving. It looks like a warehouse kind of. They said the employees are not lazy, that the boxes are meant to just be opened and put out. on the shelf. Like the boxes are kind of decorative. They match the product. And like even their milk is pre-racked. And then they just set that in the refrigerator. So that saves a lot of time, emptying those pallets and putting them out on the shelves. And then lastly, they're only open peak hours. So you can't go shopping at midnight or 7 a.m. It's pretty much like 9 to 8 or 9 to 9. And they just said those other off hours aren't profitable enough. So they just aren't open then. So that's how they cut their cost.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny that it's started by German people because yesterday I was in Aldi and these two men behind me, they had all these Bavarian pretzels and all these like German foods. And the cashier said, basically like, what are you doing? And I heard them say they were buying it all for Oktoberfest. And she was like, yeah, this is a popular time of year for us. And so they were going to some kind of special thing. But I never even thought about the owners having been German.
Well, this is German week starting up at Aldi.
Okay. Well, then that is what's going on there because if you want to buy anything German, go ahead and go this week then.
Wow.
Yeah. So we can talk about that later in our products, but there's a lot of really cool German food items right now that are starting this week. So
okay.
So Maria, that's funny that you mentioned that they were buying it for an Oktoberfest because when I was reading on this, I found out that there's such a thing as an Aldi reneur. I think that's how you say it. Like an entrepreneur. These people go in and grab up the hottest deals or the seasonal items and resell them online at auctions for a huge profit. Yes. And people who missed out are willing to buy these things. They said sometimes things that are really cheap are selling for 10 times the price that they originally were, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
But apparently that happens a lot with their special buys. Have you seen their special buys each week?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the special buys are what keep people coming back each week because you never know what it's going to be. And a lot of them are themed, like it might have a gardening theme or an outdoor theme or a Oktoberfest theme. And most of those items come from companies that are just looking to offload a ton of product, like at a bargain or bulk price.
Okay.
So Aldi gets to buy things just when they want to. Like they don't need to buy them. So they get really good deals. And they said their marketers are always looking for like what's selling hot right now. And then they try to buy those things. And it could even be hardware. Like it's not always food. Like you might go into Aldi wanting to pick up some gourmet chocolate and come out with baby clothes, a garden shower, and a unicycle. Like literally, those are things that Aldi has sold before.
Right.
Wow. That's awesome.
So you never know what you'll find.
Well, I did notice like they have different taggings, for their products. And so you can read the price tag and it'll say like here today, gone tomorrow, and it's a different color.
Oh,
so I was noticing all the price tags. The regular ones are like Aldi Find, just regular Aldi Finds. And those are things that are consistent. But then there's like red tags and yellow tags that basically say, here today, gone tomorrow.
Better jump on
I
it.
didn't notice that. Well, they don't advertise like Trader Joe. They don't advertise. But I did find that they upload their weekly ads to their website. And so you could go ahead and see like what's coming out this week. So I did that and all the German stuff was on there. So apparently this is how people know to line up outside the door on Wednesdays and Saturdays when the special buys come out.
Oh.
So, so that's good to know. Even though they don't advertise, they do let you know ahead of time what's coming out.
That's a lot of great trivia. I mean, you wouldn't know that, but it is so good to know. You do learn a little bit of that shopping there weekly because sometimes I've bought things and then I've hoped to buy them again and they don't have them anymore. So
So pay attention to those price tag colors. I did not notice that.
Yes, I ended up buying things that I was like, well, I kind of want to try that. And because it was a red tag and it said here today, gone tomorrow, I was like, well, I better get it now. Because otherwise I would have just waited. But when it had that special tag, I was like, well, it's coming home with me now.
Right.
Yeah. I assume that the name brand things are fit that category, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Because most of their stuff is their own brand. So if you see something that it's a name brand, I'm guessing that's something they just bought up for that
Mm-hmm.
that week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mindy, you are our newest Aldi shopper. So, listeners,
Yes.
full disclosure here, Mindy went to Aldi for the very first time yesterday. So, Mindy,
Mhm.
what was your impression or expectation of Aldi before you went in?
Anytime I would talk to somebody and they would talk about Aldi, I just thought, well, that place is kind of weird. Weird was the first word that came to my mind.
Yes.
Because I knew that there were like special rules. And so it kept me away. And I was worried I wouldn't be able to get, if you're shopping for a name brand something, then I knew that I wasn't going to find it there. So that kind of like, I was skittish about going in. And then I had heard just things about like a quarter and, I was like, what is that about? And so, and I was also worried because my family was so large. I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to get like family size, or I'm going to have to buy like 5 of something to be able to feed my family. So those were my impressions. Those are kind of the reasons I didn't go until yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you just have a brand new remodeled Aldi that opened by your house. So that's great incentive.
Yes. Well, I will say full disclosure. I tried to go to Aldi years ago, probably 10 years ago. I had little kids and I went to go get a basket because of course I had a toddler or a baby or something. And the whole quarter thing happened. I was like, what? I can't even have a basket? I'm like, this place is so cheap. You got to pay them a quarter to use a basket. I left.
Yeah.
Because it already stressed me out. And I was like, oh, this isn't happening.
I had the same experience when my oldest two were little. They had one open up in our town in New York. And by the time you haul or carry your preschooler or baby in one arm and hold your other child's hand through the parking lot and you have your purse and you're trying to remember your bags and then you have to search for your quarter, it just was such a hurdle to even walk in the door that I didn't enjoy it. But it's amazing now that I don't have little kids to take to Aldi, how much more fun it is.
Yeah, I had a blast yesterday, which I will be more than happy to share through the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a great marketing scheme to have all those hurdles before you even get in the door, but I never have a quarter because I don't carry a purse. And so I think my Aldi experience was probably from 20 years ago in Memphis. And I remember going in there with my mom because she would like to get some cheap produce. I think pineapples were $1. And I just remember thinking, oh, this place looks like it must be secondhand food because it's so discounted. Like I would never have bought meat there because I thought it looked, just like cheap must be inferior quality. And then the name brands, you didn't recognize any of the brands. The labels were kind of goofy. And I just didn't really give it a second chance until they built the new one. And then I thought, this looks like you're in Germany. This is really cool,
Yes, yes. And that is what really got me to try Aldi again was just, I heard great things about these new stores. And then once you go in and now I keep an Aldi quarter, like, I have an Aldi quarter. I have bags in the back of my car. Like once I cleared those 2 hurdles, it seems much easier to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't you think they have more items, Marie, like than they used to?
I think so. Like I don't remember being able to even count on what you would for sure find there. Now you can find weekly things.
Yeah, I looked and I thought, I think I could shop here totally. Like they seem to have every category now.
Mm-hmm.
And one more thing back when you were talking about shopping with children, this is from my mom. She appreciates the wide aisles. Like you don't have to stop and pull your cart over. The aisles are really wide.
Right.
And this is something I love. They don't have those little kid baskets
that are going to run into the back of your ankles.
I just don't like it when there's a mom. Sometimes they'll have 2 or 3 children pushing their own basket. Like that adds so much for this family to all have their own basket and they're hitting you in their heels. I sound like an old lady, I know. That is not a playground.
I'm getting the impression that Aldi really appeals to midlife women now that we don't have kids and we have time and we can clear the hurdles. So if you are listening, it's time to try Aldi again.
Yeah. Oh, and I will tell you, we have this whole Facebook group here where I live, and I cannot tell you how much discussion was happening about when our Aldi closed to remodel. these women were crazy. Like, when's it going to open? I keep pulling in the parking lot. Well, so-and-so's daughter works there. She told me they're supposed to open now. And so like daily, somebody was commenting on when's Aldi going to open? I thought it was like this day. No, it's this day. Like, oh, their windows are still covered. I can't tell you how much discussion was happening. I was like, it's building my
Such
excitement.
a buildup.
Yeah. So when they finally opened again and they were remodeled, I was like, wow, I feel like I finally have, won a prize. I get to go into Aldi.
Yes. Well, maybe you can post a link to this episode of that group and they can hear what we thought.
There you go. I love it.
Yes. Well, let's talk about, you had mentioned, Julie, that you feel like you could do almost all your shopping now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Mindy? Like, I used to think of Aldi as more supplemental shopping, but I can honestly say I probably do about 75% of my groceries there now. What about you, Mindy? I mean, I know you've only been one time, but did you feel like you could do more there than you originally thought?
No, I only went one time, and I knew I was going to have to do a Walmart grocery pickup later on, but I was like, oh, I'll go to Aldi first. I'll just see what I can find. Oh my goodness. And I'll show I showed you guys the picture of all the things that I ended up getting. I still needed Walmart, and I still needed one item at Publix, which is crazy, but we just all know how that is. But I was able to get most things, and I was comparing prices. So this is the nerd part of me, Julie, is I was like, oh my gosh, like these bratwursts, these real German bratwursts are so much cheaper than the name brand bratwurst at, Walmart. And so I couldn't believe how cheap some things were. And I just thought, wow, now I get to go shopping for fun stuff. I'm saving all kinds of money. So I felt really good about all the things I found, plus all the things that were not on my list, that were super fun. So I'll talk about those things later.
Now Walmart can be your supplemental place.
It was, because I can do a Walmart grocery pickup and not even go in. Aldi was so much fun to go in. And that's a big deal to me, because I have not worked out my grocery pickup in this new place that I live. I just had not gotten into a good routine. And I was like, how do I get my grocery shopping done here? Well, Aldi, the location is convenient. It's been remodeled. It's clean. It's organized. It's nice. And it's so much cheaper. I'm like, oh, this is part of my routine now. Like, this is it.
And if you don't even want to go in, they do grocery pickup, and they are on Instacart, because my daughter shops at Aldi every week, but she never goes in.
Because she's a baby.
Yeah. So anyways, it's on. So if you really just don't like having to go into a store, don't let that deter you, because they are on Instacart, and I know you can do pickup there also.
Yeah. I think I could do permanent, or not just supplemental, but my everyday shopping there now, but it just takes going through multiple times. Kind of like I used to start at Trader Joe's, which is my favorite items. And then I'd find an additional thing, or somebody in the store would actually tell me, hey, try this. And so I even think it has more to offer than Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah. It has more usable everyday items, not so many specialty type things.
Unique.
Specialty.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our typical Aldi shopping. Like, what do you buy? How much do you spend? How often do you go? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I find that I buy pretty much must be the same things every time, because my bill is always around $100. Like, I know it's going to be around that. And so I must be picking up the same items all the time. And I will just say, like, when you first walk in the door, probably the bulk of what I buy there is the produce, because there's so many great deals on produce, and they also rotate what's on sale. I buy grapes, strawberries, pineapple, tomatoes, avocados. Avocados are really reasonable there. Watermelon, zucchini, potatoes, apples, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, peaches. I mean, those were just all the things that I bought yesterday. Like, there's a ton of stuff that you can buy.
I will add in the produce that I bought a pumpkin the other day, or I bought it for my mom, and it was a very large pumpkin, and it was $3.99.
Whoa.
And you don't ever find a good pumpkin like that for under $5.
No.
So I don't know how long they had them. The barrel was getting kind of low.
I'll say we had no pumpkins yesterday, Julie.
Huh.
I did see pumpkins yesterday, so maybe they're just coming in now that we're moving into October.
We are a little more south. Maybe people aren't quite ready. I don't know.
Yeah. But then their bread. I'll just mention one item that I think people should try in the bread aisle is their seeded bread. And you can either get Grain-tastic, or Seed-tastic. That is the name. But all their bread is cheap. Even a loaf of wheat bread's like $1.29. And when you go to Kroger, it's like $2.49 or sometimes approaching $3. But when you guys get started, what do you guys move towards when you first walk in the store?
Well, I do love the breads. My favorite thing is their English muffins, and I've mentioned those before.
Oh.
They're the oven fresh plain English muffins, and they taste like ones that you get in Europe. And you would think, how different could an English muffin be? But they are very soft and light. They are so much better. We also like the brioche buns. They come 12 to a pack, and they're a little bigger than maybe the Hawaiian rolls, but my son will make sandwiches on those instead of a big slice of bread. He'll make, multiple sandwiches on those little rolls. And I like the mini naan bread because we like Indian food and it goes great with that.
Yeah, but I don't know if I've seen the mini naan bread. That sounds like something fun to try. You could even do those mini naan bread pizzas.
And I've noticed they've moved some of their prepped meals up to the front. Have you noticed that, Marie? They used to be on the back wall and now they're right inside.
I wonder if that's why I haven't been able to find them.
That's why I was so excited, because the very first thing I saw is one of my absolute favorite things to order at a restaurant. And I've never seen this in a grocery store, maybe just because I zoom in and zoom out with only what's on my list because the store's so big. But no, like right there at the beginning are these stuffed mushrooms with spinach and mozzarella. And I'm like, oh, I bought them. I haven't eaten them yet. So, but between the stuffed mushrooms that were already prepared, I was like, give me that.
I need to try that. I need to look.
I bought those. They are
good. And then there was this really good looking pico de gallo sauce, that and a 7-layer dip. And like, I was finding all kinds of stuff. I was like, I need to chill out here. Like I was having so much fun.
Yes, that's a great idea because I had to bring an hors d'oeuvre to something recently and I just didn't feel like cooking one. And so I went to Aldi, but that would have been great choice was this. I didn't know they had the pre-made 7-layer dip or something like that. Instead, I got their pre-made like charcuterie board. And that was a great deal too. It was $10 and you got like everything that you would want on a charcuterie board. I mean, unless you're like a really fancy person and you make awesome ones, but for your basic charcuterie board, I thought it was great to just pick up and bring somewhere something a little bit different.
That was one of the things I was going to mention is that if you're throwing a party or if you're like hosting at all, this would be the place to go because I used to go to Costco for larger amounts and some specialty items. I cannot easily go to Costco. It's like over an hour away from me now.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm really missing that. This is going to supply me when I am hosting or having a party. There were so many fun foods that I could find and so much cheaper. And you don't have to buy a big bulk quantity. If you're just having a friend over for lunch and you want to have like a special lunch, like it's nice. I was thrilled with all the things I found that I could have fun with.
Yeah. One of the things that I love that's a prepared meal is and I haven't seen it there recently, so they might be bringing it back in the winter, it's a pork roast with baked apples on top. And it is really, really good. But I have not seen that. And it's up in the packaging, like where, in the refrigerated section, like where their shredded barbecue and shredded chicken is. And I think they have like a chicken parmesan or something like that. But all of those are pretty good.
Well, one of my favorite things that I got yesterday, and both Bryce and I had it yesterday, that it is delicious. It will be a constant item, is the cranberry almond chicken salad.
Yes, I was going to say that too. My mom just got me onto that.
Oh my goodness gracious. I bought some of their brand of wheat thin crackers. And I was just scooping it out. I was like, I literally could eat this whole dish right now. It is so good.
Now, where do they have that in the store? Is it back by the hummus and stuff?
It was in the beginning.
Oh, mine was in the back.
for me, it wasn't near the hummus. Mine was near the stuffed mushrooms and the produce.
Okay.
So
yeah, we'll look both places then.
Yeah. And they had it two ways. Like you could buy it in a bigger tub, which I did, or you could buy it in single serve packs. So like if you're packing lunches or something.
Perfect.
Yeah, I bought the single serve because sometimes I won't ever go. I'm the only one that eats it. So I would never make it through the whole tub,
right?
Without it going bad. So I liked the fact that it was single serve.
I wouldn't have that problem, Julie.
Great with crackers. Nobody likes it. No, even John doesn't like chicken salad. So.
Really? Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about their meats now that we're on the subject of chicken, because I was like you at first, Julie. I was like, I don't really want to buy this meat. And then because I don't like to go multiple places, I was like, fine, let me see what they have. And they actually have a great selection of different kinds of things that you can have for meats. One of the things that I really like, and they pretty often have them, although I did not notice them yesterday. I love meatballs, but I don't like to make them from scratch. And frozen meatballs just aren't quite the same. They have fresh, pre-prepared meatballs. They're not as good as homemade, but they're in between homemade and frozen. So, and you can just cook them in your oven, like on a piece of parchment paper or aluminum foil, and they're pretty good. Another thing I really like are their cilantro lime chicken breasts. And they're Southwest chicken breasts, and they come pre-marinated. You just cook them in the oven. I think it's 10 to 15 minutes, which is pretty fast for a chicken breast, but they don't get dried out. They're moist. I cut them and I put them like over a salad or something like that. And I also really like their peppercorn pork tenderloin. That cooks up really fast. Now, that I will say is something that if you see it, you should buy it, because they often have a lot of teriyaki flavored. But, the peppercorn can be harder to find. And Julie, I know that you recently tried that.
Yes, that was very good. My family loved that. And I think they have garlic. Don't they have a garlic one? And
they may.
Teriyaki? Yeah, they have several flavors.
This was a huge surprise to me, their meat selection. This is what really sold me on Aldi, because I did not anticipate being able to find, like, I use ground turkey a lot, and I need at least a 2-pound container. They sell 2-pound containers of ground turkey. And I was so thrilled to find it packaged that way. And then we eat like thick sliced bacon on the weekends. That's just one of our things. And a package of thick sliced bacon was like $3.80 or something.
I mean, it's $10 at the store.
I was like, whoa. This is amazing. I mean, at Publix, I was paying $8, and something for the thick sliced bacon. But also, so between the meat, I'll even say deli meat, their cheese selection that is right before you go into the meat section, their seafood selection. I couldn't believe what good options I had and that it looked good. Because
the salmon looks good. Have you tried?
The salmon looked beautiful.
The salmon's good, and you don't have to buy as large of amount of it as you do at like Costco if you want to buy salmon. You have to buy the bigger one. I will say they have a lot of organic meats and antibiotic-free meats. So if that's important to you, they have a lot of those choices. I've bought their like organic ground beef before, and I've bought their organic chicken breasts, but they're just not as tasty as the cilantro lime and Southwest marinated ones. Right. But, they have a lot of, like you said, Mindy, a lot of great options for meat. I've even noticed that they've started, and I don't know if this is just because we're coming up on fall, but they have like a stew roast with the potatoes and vegetables, everything packaged together, and it's like $10, and I think you can move it right from the package into your crock pot. Like really making things easy. So if you had to bring a meal to somebody, that's an easy start to it. And those are relatively new. Like I didn't notice those a few weeks ago.
Well, and then I was really impressed with the things that were packaged together. Like they had plenty of, I'll call it American offerings, things that we are used to seeing. But then I was so surprised at how many Asian offerings they had, because we do love Asian food. And so seeing some of those selections within the seafood and the other parts of the meat department, but then also Mediterranean. We love to eat Mediterranean style foods. And so I was thrilled to see different varieties and different types of foods that were available in this one little small clean store.
Yeah. And also I'll add this here, since you mentioned organic. About 90% of their products are their own brand, so they have a lot of control over the ingredients, what's in the food. So as of 2015, they no longer sell any food with artificial coloring, added MSG, or partially hydrogenated oils.
Oh, that's awesome to know.
So,
That's really great.
You just know, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Yeah, and I will say that my daughter has a soy sensitivity, and so I'm always looking for soy-free products, and they're difficult to find, but there are quite a few at Aldi. I think probably because they're trying to get rid of a lot of preservatives and things like that. So, yeah, if you have allergies, I'd definitely take a look to anything, really. I'd take a look at the offerings at Aldi because I think they are more natural.
And I think they have a big gluten-free section as well.
Yeah, I think they do.
So.
Yeah. Well, let's move into dairy. I know they have a lot of milk products, yogurts, cheeses. Do you guys stock up a lot in that aisle?
The main reason that I go to Aldi is for their cheeses. They are the best price ever, and especially if you're going to do a charcuterie board. They seem to come in a little bit smaller amounts too. Like at Kroger, I feel like I have to spend $8 for a block of cheese, whereas this is more in the $3 range.
Yeah.
But they have Brie, Gouda. They had Stilton blue cheese. They have Havarti. They even have grated Swiss and Gruyere cheese and grated Gouda. I've never seen grated Gouda cheese before. And I add that to one of my pizzas. We make a homemade barbecue chicken pizza, and I like a little Gouda on there. So that's nice. And for example, pricing, yesterday I paid attention. A 4-ounce goat cheese, the little log, was $1.99. And I looked up Kroger, they were all over $5. The same size.
That's a great savings.
Yeah. And I love goat cheese. And we've mentioned charcuterie boards, but they seem to have all their stuff all together. Like right next to the cheeses, they have all their salamis and their prosciutto and even olives. And then the crackers are nearby. Like you could easily get that together and for a whole lot less money than you'd spend elsewhere.
So that was actually the one thing that I came home raving about and that I got all excited about. I took a picture of the cheese selections yesterday when I was there. I was blown away because when you make a charcuterie board, you want a variety. You don't want a lot, you want to try different things. And especially if you have friends over and you want this beautiful thing, like you want a lot of different kinds. So you don't want to go paying $8 for, one thing. And so I came home with all this cheese because you use them for so many different things. So I even came home with 2 different bags of cube cheese in like a family style bag with the, with the zip top that you could reclose. And I love that was an option because I have a family. I just want to get, I need the boys to take a couple to school and that's it.
Right.
But I will be going back for their cheese selection. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And right now they have their beer cheese fondue for German week. So I bought 2 of those. And that's really, really good with their soft pretzels.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what one of those guys was behind was a bunch of Moravian soft pretzels. And I was already in the checkout line, like actually paying when I looked back and saw what he had in his cart. And I was thinking, oh, I hope those are there next time when I go to Aldi. But it looks like he's filling up his entire cart. So probably not.
Maybe you can buy them online at a
I
jacked up price.
I know. Well, let's talk about their frozen foods because they have a ton. And I would say that I find that this section for me has the most variety. Like they'll have new things in, and I know it's not going to last forever, but in the frozen section is where I got those wonderful icy root beer floats in a tube. This summer when I said I bought like 6 packages because they never had those again after that one time. And then when they had the icy cups, and then recently I found these are so good, you guys. Tyson air fried chicken tenders. I mean, I guess they're air fried and then frozen. They are so delicious. And they have like, I don't know, I think it said on the package like 75% less fat than normal ways that you make chicken tenders. And I made these and everyone except one person, everyone really liked them, and myself included. Like, I liked them much better than a regular chicken tender. So if you happen to be in Aldi and you go in their frozen food aisle and you do see the Tyson air fried ones, grab them because they're probably not going to be there long. But I always check. It's most of their new products in the frozen is kind of in their what would they call that? It's like a middle frozen container, not along the wall, but like a deep freeze. Like you reach in and you get the items. I mean, they have Bluebell ice cream in there, actual name brand. I mean, they have a lot of neat things. Have you guys found anything there?
Magnum bars.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun in this section too, because the one thing that completely shocked me that I found, and I'm going to try it today for lunch, is frozen sushi. They had these.
That sounds different.
I did not. It looks really good. There's like a window in the package. So I was able to look at what it looked like. So they had shrimp and avocado rolls, and they had California rolls. Those were the two options. Okay. I was like, I'm going to try me some shrimp and avocado rolls. But then like I got these like turkey sausage, spinach, little omelet bites for the morning. I found Kung Pao chicken. Like these things that I could have for lunch. I don't have as many restaurants here as what I'm used to having. And so for me, it was really nice to see some things like that I could get like for just, something different for lunch. The sushi rolls, though, that's what cracked me up the most. But then I also saw it was a red tag and it said, here today, gone tomorrow. And I contemplated because it's this big box of chicken tenders. You mentioned chicken tenders. And it was one of the most expensive, actually was the most expensive thing I bought for $14.99. I'm like, it's this big box. I really had to commit. I was like, but it's going to be gone tomorrow. And Nathan really likes chicken tenders.
They're probably going to be great. Yeah.
So we haven't tried them yet because we had something that I forgot to mention. I'm going to stick it in right here. Their pizzas. I was stunned to get their pizzas yesterday for like under $6. This huge mammoth size pizza.
Fresh or frozen, Mindy?
It wasn't frozen.
Okay.
It was near the stuffed mushrooms at the beginning. So I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Yeah. That was actually the first thing I put in my basket was this huge pizza.
Here is dinner. Dinner is served.
That's what we had for dinner last night. And it was good. I'd actually decided I was done eating for the day. And then I changed my mind after I made the pizza.
That's great.
Good to know because I passed by those thinking, I don't know, how good they are, but I'll try this.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Actually, the crust was surprisingly good and it tasted fresh, which I mean, I don't know how, but I was really surprised at how good their pizza tasted. And then I got a flatbread because they have like the regular big pizzas and they have like a meat lovers or, like the margarita kind or supreme. But then they have some flatbread pizzas that are specialty. So like I got Bryce like a chicken barbecue something or other. And so, anyways, that's another family night, like pizza night.
Well, one last thing I want to mention in the frozen is their French fries. They have a wide variety, but I like the steak fries because if you look on the ingredients, they literally are only potatoes, salt, and sunflower oil.
Really?
They cook up great. They're tasty. They're really inexpensive. I think they're like $1 something for a bag. So try their frozen steak fries. And that is something that they carry on a regular basis.
Okay. They didn't have any of those yesterday, Marie, but they did have sweet potato waffle fries.
Okay,
which
that's
I'm sure
so good.
have more ingredients in them because my list of things that I buy compared to y'all's is, different.
Well, I'm only trying to buy for people for allergies. So if it only has 3 ingredients, that's better.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I haven't had to read labels as closely as you, but when I try the sweet potato waffle fries, I'll let you know how they are.
I mean, I think I would enjoy those a lot. Well, a few other things that I get every time, if your kids or your husband, both of my kids and husband love sparkling water, it's cheap there. Yes. You can buy big bottles. It's cheap. They have a lot of different flavors. My daughter likes the gourmet chocolate. And the one thing that's unusual about it that I appreciate is it's a large bar, but inside are like 4 or 5 individual bars. So sometimes when you break open something like that, you feel like, oh, well, the whole thing's going to go bad, but it's not because they're pre-packaged inside, almost like individual servings.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things they're known for is their high-end European chocolate. I mean, they have a whole end cap of chocolate.
Right.
And I would say other than cheese, that's my second thing that I'm in there for.
Yeah.
Not that I'm buying bulk chocolate, but I mean, I always get some.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something that I have heard referred to as the aisle of shame. Do you guys know what the aisle of shame is at Aldi? Or can you guess?
I have no idea what the aisle of shame
I can't imagine unless it's stuff that's really bad for you. I don't know.
I was like, is that the chocolate aisle? Like, what are you talking about?
I thought it was a clever way to refer to that aisle of things that they, basically what you described at the beginning, Julie, that they only have that time. And it's usually not even food products. It's like the unicycles and the baby clothes and the whatever. And the aisle of shame. And I saw people referring to that as, oh, well, I got this at Aldi in the aisle of shame today. It's like, it's all impulse buys. You don't go in to buy that because you don't know what they're going to have. So that's why it's shameful. You walk out with something that you weren't even planning on buying, but it looks good on the shelf. So
I did see 2 huge, like, padded, like, rocking outdoor chairs, like this big box. And I was like, that's right next to these, like, baby things. And I was like, it reminded me, is it called the Island of Misfit Toys?
Oh,
in the Rudolph movie? That's what I thought. I'm like, this is the Island of Misfit Toys. Nothing belongs. There's no order.
Yeah,
it's a
very
random hodgepodge. And it's like the middle aisle is what okay.
So in that aisle before, I have found Fisher-Price toys that I picked up to keep at my house. Actual Duplo brand blocks. Easter candy that was name brand and cute little baskets, but all of those things were there the one time I went and then not anymore. So you really have to watch the aisle of shame. They'll have things like rugs and gardening equipment and, just all kinds. I've seen really cute like rain boots for kids and water toys, like a lot of things that you could easily. I mean, I don't even go down it every time because I know I'll probably find something, and so I don't go down it every time.
I looked at their ad or their website to see what was coming up this week, and they had a kid's inflatable chair, a cooling weighted blanket. They had a lot of snuggly stuff, I guess, getting ready for fall.
Well, my sister bought a cardboard cat house there for her 2 cats to play in. I mean, cute. You can find, there's a lot of pet things in that aisle, too.
Yes, there are.
So if you have not been down the aisle of shame, go ahead and go down and know that you're not alone in putting an impulse buy in your cart.
It's funny because when you said that yesterday, have you bought anything from the aisle of shame? When I was in the store, I was literally looking for a label. Where is the aisle of shame? I kept looking for a sign overhead and I thought, I can't find it. Maybe ours doesn't have one.
Oh, it has one.
The only thing I could think of was all the German like cookie things that I had bought. And I was like, I mean, that could be it.
Well, do we have any parting words of advice for shoppers or last minute things that you want to throw in there? Like, don't forget this about Aldi.
A few other things that I like to buy there. I like to pick up fresh flowers. They're right in the door. And it's kind of funny. Yesterday, none. The day before, when I took my mom, it was full of fresh flowers. And around $3 to $4 a bundle. So I think they're even cheaper than Trader Joe's. So that's something you can always just pick up to have. I like doing that. And then their med aisle. Now this, I know you might think, wow, if you're afraid to buy food there, would you buy medicine there? But they have a brand called Welby, and they sell the generic brand of Flonase, the nasal spray.
Oh.
And it's $6.99 for a 10-ounce bottle. Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then they sell the generic Zyrtec, and it's $6.99 for 30 tablets. So you cannot beat that price.
And listeners, this is speaking from a pharmacist. She's willing to buy Aldi medication.
Yeah.
Generic is generic. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that was good. Some people might be afraid to try, but I tend to buy generic meds anyway. So that didn't bother me. And then something I noticed yesterday was their spice aisle. Have you ever checked that out?
I have not.
They are in little plastic bottles, not the really short bottles, but like 2 or 3 inches tall. And every bottle of single spices was under $1. Most were 95 cents.
Really? And did they
And
have
I thought
more
that
than
was
just the usual cinnamon? Like Walmart has dollar spices, but they're like cinnamon, chili powder.
Oh,
They don't
no.
have anything really unique.
They
Did
had a lot.
Yeah?
They had
Okay.
a lot of different ones. And then
Really?
the blends were $1.99. So
Oh,
not that
wow.
much
I'm gonna
more.
look at that
Okay.
next time.
And so many times when I buy a spice, it's because a recipe called for a teaspoon of this. And
I
you hate to go
know.
spend $6
Yeah.
on this
Mhm.
glass jar at Kroger,
Right.
So I thought that's great if you just need a spice for one time or, they tend to go bad too. So you don't really want to buy them in
Right.
huge quantities.
Right.
Yeah. There are a lot of unique things. Mindy, I know that you went on your very first shopping experience yesterday. Do you have anything that you really want to highlight to listeners that you haven't mentioned yet?
I mean, I kind of already mentioned the chicken salad. That I think by hands down, that was my favorite thing that we got that I've tried because I bought so much stuff that it's going to take me a while to go through it. So you'll have to listen to I'm a Fans as I continue to try things.
You've
from
got
Aldi
I'm a fan
because-
for the next 10 weeks.
I know. I've got an I'm a Fan set up. Yeah, because I got to try the sushi and the Kung Pao chicken and the Mediterranean chicken patties that I bought. Like there's so many things I'm excited about. I mean, we had pizza night last night and it was really cheap.
All right. Yes. Any advice for someone going for the first time? Because it's fresh in your mind.
Yes. Okay. So I do have a funny story. So I put everything on the conveyor belt and I'm still loading and I hear things like being thrown on the floor. And I'm like, what is that noise? And I look over and she's just setting them in another basket. But she's moving so fast. It's like boom, 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 boom. And so it caught me off guard. I thought she was literally throwing my groceries, but no, she was setting them in the basket. And then I have the realization that I don't have any bags. And so I'm like, oh, this is interesting because I've just bought like one of everything. So I go out to my minivan and I'm like, well, I'm loading it in there. And I get home and I just had to go in the house and I got some laundry baskets and I just filled up my laundry baskets and put it all away. But I did take a picture of what my minivan looked like with all of my Aldi finds basically thrown in the back. And so that was an experience. I thought, okay, rookie mistake. I remembered the quarter. I did not remember the bags.
Yes.
That's not a rookie mistake because I've been shopping there a while and I still leave my bags in the car every single time. So I end up buying more bags because for listeners, if you don't have your own bags or whatever, you can buy bags there and they're only 8 cents. I mean, it's not that, and they're plastic, so you can reuse them. And if you can remember to bring them in.
I know. I saw people that had forgotten quarters, and so they literally have their arms full walking through the store.
That's how I usually shop there.
I think I've seen like a YouTube video or a TikTok or something where they make fun of people doing that and like people have things stuffed down their shirts and like, like you think, how many things can I carry in Aldi if I forgot the quarter for my basket?
It's true. It's true. It's true. So it's like you look at everybody and everybody's saying like, you lucky, you remembered your quarter. Living the high life.
I know.
Well, Maria, I do have something that you will be interested in. Well, you might start to see Aldi inside Kohl's.
Aldi in Kohl's? That seems odd.
They said that they've remodeled about 300 stores to free up space to sublet to different partners. And this is to boost traffic through Kohl's and to make them competitive with Target. So you could do clothes and food.
Interesting.
And it would probably not be frozen food. It's probably going to be like specialty chocolates and,
interesting.
maybe their specialty. But I thought you'd like that since I know you love Kohl's.
Well, I used to love Kohl's. I have not been in there in so long. But maybe if there was Aldi, I would come back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. What will they think of next? To try. I mean, you have to admire Kohl's because they just won't quit. You know what I'm saying? Like they always, I mean, they brought Amazon in so that you can do your easy returns there, trying to get more traffic. They are now bringing in Aldi. Like they're desperate for people to come in.
A little desperate. Maybe they should just improve what their own store is meant to be.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Well, definitely, listeners. Julie, in your trivia, did you happen to come across how many Aldis in the United States there are?
It seems like I remember reading that they were, that one time there were 1,600 and they were going to try to ramp it up to 2,500. But I don't know if that was old news or if that's current. So obviously they're building because we have two brand new ones that aren't that far apart. So
and remodeling. Yeah.
Yes. Well, listeners, take a look around your area because chances are there is an Aldi near you. And if you had an experience 20 years ago, similar to all of ours, where we're schlepping our kids in and it's so frustrating, it's a new and improved experience. It truly, truly is. And we really think that you're going to enjoy it. And if you want to come and find us on Instagram this week at Midlife Matters Podcast, we're going to post all the pictures that Mindy took yesterday, including her own little moment of shame where her whole back of her trunk was filled with items and she'd forgotten all of her bags. So we're definitely going to be doing that. Come and find us on Instagram, or if you want to email us any great recommendations, you can either email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com or message us on Instagram because I'm always looking for something new to try.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way is by recommendation, for sure. I like to try things that other people have tried.
Okay, well, listeners, in addition to Aldi, we are fans of other things. So let's move into I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I am a fan of a 2-ingredient muffin that, ironically, I heard this recipe while driving to Aldi yesterday on the Joy FM, the Christian radio station.
Wow.
And the announcer was telling us about, hey, if you're ready for, all those pumpkin things as fall is coming up, she said there's this healthy 2-ingredient muffin that you can make. Basically, it's just a can of pumpkin to almost any cake or muffin mix like that you want to eat. Like you could use a spice cake. You could even use a pumpkin cake. Or I ended up then, so that got on my list as I was going to look for this at Aldi. So I was able to get the can of pumpkin there, cheap, of course. They had an apple cinnamon muffin mix there.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
And I was like, ooh, apple cinnamon and pumpkin. Yeah, those all go together. And I made them yesterday. I literally just stirred them together. They look a little odd. They don't look like the perfect rounded tops of muffins. But my son Jacob, that is very health conscious, I made these and I brought him some to pick him up after basketball practice. And he was so excited. And I said, well, how do they taste? Because I hadn't tried them yet. His first question was, are they healthy? And I said, yes. He said, then I like them.
So if it's only 2 ingredients, you don't even put, like normally in a muffin mix, you might have to add egg or oil. You don't even do that. You just add the can of pumpkin. That is healthy.
Okay, so you don't follow the directions on the box.
You cook it according to the directions on the box, but it's only the dry mix mixed with 1 can of pumpkin. It did make 12 muffin cups for me. So I was able to get 12 muffins out of it. They're not as sweet. It doesn't have as much flavor as, the regular muffin mix would have been, but they're good. They're healthier. It's a denser muffin, like they're filling. There's lots of fiber. So anyways.
And they're 2 ingredients.
It's 2 ingredients and it incorporates all that pumpkin into your diet if that's what you're going for.
Perfect. That sounds really good. And how wonderful that you were on your way to the grocery store, because a lot of times you would hear something like that and then you're not on the way to the grocery store, so you forget about it.
Or you just got home.
I know. And I was so thankful that Aldi had the apple cinnamon mix because that sounded perfect to me. So
yeah. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. That's really fun. All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Okay, I had trouble coming up with I'm a fan today, but after Mindy's problem of having her groceries all over her trunk, I will say I'm a fan of these little, they're actually plastic wicker baskets, but they're probably 2 feet by 1 foot and about 6 inches deep. And I have 2 or 3 of them in the back of my little Mini Cooper. They're really cute.
Yeah.
And so a jug of milk fits perfectly in there. One grocery bag, like a paper bag, fits perfectly in there. And it just keeps my groceries from rolling around. And especially if I've got plastic bags, you know how when you get home, everything's out of those bags anyway.
Yes.
So I like to keep those in my trunk to help with the groceries. And they're real cute. I got them at Container Store.
That is one of the things. Like if I send my son to the grocery store and he just has a Toyota Corolla, it's hit or miss on whether he's going to really put the things where they're not going to roll over. So like some baskets in anyone's trunk would probably be helpful.
Yeah. And before I had the Mini Cooper in my Sequoia, I did have a laundry basket that I kept in there.
Ooh, okay.
Like 2 are the square baskets, so not the huge ones. And then it just divides it up and keeps things, like, and you can even put all your frozen in one. So then you just carry that to the freezer.
Oh, perfect.
Julie, you are so organized. I love that. These are great hacks for my life.
Let's post a picture of Julie's trunk compared to Mindy's trunk.
Okay. Now,
side by side.
Hold up. Mindy keeps her minivan really clean. I did clean all of that out.
Yeah, really the before and after should be my trunk because my trunk is a mess. All right. Well, what am I a fan this week? I am a fan of a book that I read in about one day. And, I love a good escape book. This was a romance, but not your typical romance. So it's called After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, R-E-I-D. And it says, when Lauren and Ryan's marriage reaches the breaking point, they come up with an unconventional plan. They decide to take a year off in the hopes of finding a way to fall in love again. 1 year apart and only one rule. They cannot contact each other. And aside from that, anything goes. And it was just a fun read. I mean, I know that it's not really our midlife life, but it was
Y'all need to go to Christian counseling.
It was a fun escape, and I enjoyed it. So if you just want a fun escape to read, I recommend After I Do. I don't recommend everything they do, but I do recommend the book After I Do.
Gosh, that could go so many directions. I'm dying to ask you if they ended up together, but I know you're not going to tell me.
What do you think in a romance novel? But I will just say, I thought that the most unrealistic part about it was that they'd only been married for about 6 years. I think probably you'd be married like 15 plus, and then you'd get to the point where you're like, let's take a year off, see what happens. 6? I don't know if you're there yet.
That seems a bit early. Yeah. Like they may not make it.
Yeah.
If you're already breaking up for a year at 6 years in, I don't know what that says. Oh, well, it was total fun. Just total fun. I don't really want to do that in case anyone's listening.
Steve.
I bet it was Steve that didn't like those air fried chicken tenders.
No, it wasn't. He actually liked it. It was Lydia. I couldn't believe it. She likes healthy food. And if anything, the air fried chicken tenders should be more healthy, but I don't know, something about the taste. Well, anyways, listeners, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode about Aldi. We cannot wait to hear from you. Let us know what you buy. Let us know what you find. There's always something new to be had. Julie and Mindy, you keep me updated on what you guys find too. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't wait to go back to the Isle of Shame, see what I can find.
All right. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Bye, girls.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.